Welcome. My name is Kelly.
I'm Laura.
My name's Jamie.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And today is another day, actually the last day in our Fanimated Gift Exchange. So welcome back, Jamie and Laura, to the podcast.
Wow. I can't believe it's already over. Oh
It's already over. The year is almost over, going into
Shoot.
2023. Here we go.
Oh my goodness.
Another year of Fanimated. Girl, you were number 3 podcast on my Spotify Wrapped.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my life goal.
Love me some and that's a coveted spot. I mean, I got to tell you, my top 5 is people are, begging to get into Laura's stuff.
I have the exclusive third place spot.
Yes.
Good. Well, I hope I was on everyone's Spotify Wrapped this year. Everyone who's listening, unless you don't listen on Spotify, that's also just fine.
Like to say.
I'm not a Spotify exclusive podcast. You're fine.
What is this Spotify you talk of? Yeah.
Yes. Oh dear. Well, last week we talked about Jamie's pick, Jamie's gift to all of us, and maybe a little piece of coal for Laura was the Iron Giant. And that was a blast. But this week, Laura is holding the gift here. So Laura, would you do the honors of telling us what this topic is? Just in case people did not read the title of the episode.
Look at the title of the episode.
Just in case. I mean, talk about ending strong, like best for last. We are finishing the gift exchange with Disney's The Rescuers.
Yes. I might be more. This isn't the one I chose. I might be more excited to talk about this one, honestly.
Yes. This was definitely a surprise to me too of how excited I was after watching this. Like, I'm ready. I am primed and ready to geek out about this movie because it is such a fun ride. So Laura, what is your experience with The Rescuers and why did you choose it?
Well, I chose The Rescuers. That has been on our Disney list for this podcast for a while. The Rescuers has been an absolute favorite of mine for as long as I can actually remember. I don't remember the first time I saw this. That's how long I've been watching it.
Yeah.
And that's big for me. Like, I remember the first time I saw a lot of Disney movies. I do not remember the first time I saw this. This was classic early 90s, taped off the TV by my father lovingly, where sometimes he would stop the recording when it was a commercial and sometimes you didn't. So even 10 years later, you got to see, all the toy ads.
Oh, that's vintage.
That were advertised during Rescuers. So my dad would tape stuff off the TV for us, and this one was old enough. It was made in 1977, I believe, that it was played at some point on TV, and my dad taped it for us. And it was a tape that my brother and I almost wore out. My dad had to repair the tape several times.
Wow.
Oh man.
It's so good, and it is a movie that my brother and I loved equally, which was unique in our house, right? Like, everyone had their favorite movies, and we'd go in rotation of who got to pick what movie we wanted to watch. But my brother and I loved The Rescuers equally. I'm pretty sure my little sister liked it too, but she was the youngest. Like, she didn't even get a vote. Let's be real, right? We were watching. I loved it as a child, and we never stopped watching it. My brother and I will still watch it together to this day because it is that good. It holds up so well. It is what good Disney movies do best, which is entertain the entire family, not just children, not just adults. It is a true family film in that, not that it's like approved for all viewers, but because it's just that good that everyone loves it.
Yes, absolutely.
I will just talk nonstop for this whole hour about it, so I'm going to stop. But that's it. I don't remember not knowing what this movie was and not having it be a favorite.
Wow.
Right.
Yes, and it still carries on to this day, and I love that so much. That's what Fanimated is all about. We're here to talk about those films that just stick with us. I will say I watched it, I think, a couple times as a child. I never owned it. It was definitely one that we rented occasionally. Didn't have the biggest excitement about it, but coming back to it as an adult is just such a joy and so much fun. And like I remember the things I used to love about it as a kid, and I remember, like the little dragonfly. Of course, I love the little dragonfly. Evan Rude is so great, and now I understand so much more of the film. And
right.
Right? It's one of those ones where it has the adult stuff built into it that like you don't fully appreciate the film until you rewatch it as an adult, and you pick up on all, I mean, even just the names of the characters, the background art, the detail in the background art of like only an adult would know that that's like a pack of cigarettes that they're using as, a stand, or like that they're riding in a sardine can on the albatross, or that the albatross's name is Orville for like Orville and Wilbur, right?
Yes.
Like just the little adult Easter eggs that not only make it fun for an adult to watch, but I just feel like it must have been fun to make.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I love those sorts of ideas of like the mouse characters or the tiny people characters, and where you take everyday objects and make them work for whatever purposes they have. I like that kind of idea of the tiny world. So they do a good job with that here as well. So Jamie, what's your experience with the Rescuers, if you have any, and what were your first initial responses to this film?
Yeah. That is really weird, actually, because I had a very, very vague memory of the swamp and the villain character and the crocodiles. Are they alligators? One of the two.
I'm not sure.
I had like those three very, very fuzzy memories, and I was like, okay, so I've definitely seen this flick. So as soon as I sit down and watch it, I'm sure I'm gonna get into like, oh yeah, now I remember the plot, now I remember what's going on, I've seen this flick. And I sat down and watched it last week, and like as the movie went on, I have not in fact seen this flick. And this is somehow this is new to me. I've not seen it. Yeah, no, this is the first time I have seen like 90% of this movie. So I don't know where exactly I got the very, very, like, vague image of, like, oh, yeah, that's the one with a crazy lady in a swamp who has alligators. But, like, that's all I had, right? And now I've got, like, the actual film. And it's so good. I was blown away.
So good to hear.
Yeah. Just the beginning, like, well, even before the beginning of the plot, the opening of the credits, where like there's this surprisingly like melancholic song playing, and like it shows all of these backgrounds that are like designed to look like paintings, like you can see brush strokes and stuff.
Yes.
And like they did that on purpose, right? And it looks so interesting and weird, and I was just like, okay, this is gonna be something I didn't expect. Yeah.
It's a gem. It's a gem. I'm so thankful, Laura, that you chose it. I had enjoy watching it as well. So, and it sounds like we all did. So, to dive right in, this is your official spoiler warning. If you have not seen Disney's The Rescuers, you have had almost 50 years to get on that. But if you somehow missed it, Laura, could you give us a brief synopsis, please?
How do you even give a brief synopsis of this film? Like, would you like a play-by-play of the storyboard of this film? Because it is so jam-packed with story.
It really is.
The basic idea of this story is there is a little girl, Penny, who needs to be rescued. She has been abducted by some evil people to help them in their selfish evil plot to retrieve a diamond from a pirate's cave. And she sends a message in a bottle that is retrieved by the Rescue Aid Society, which is a society of mice from all over the world that help people. And they send two agents, Bernard and Bianca, on an adventure to go and save Penny, and hilarity ensues, suspense ensues, and it just turns into a really wonderful old-fashioned adventure detective story starring mice.
Yes, starring mice. Exactly. That's what it is. It's charming and pleasant and I mean, honestly, a little dark at times.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Yeah.
But it is an adventure. These mice are on an adventure, and you get to see the world from their perspective, and it's very fun, especially how they mirror real life things with the mice. So when they all go to the Rescue Aid Society, there you watch the humans going to
it's at the UN.
The UN.
It's like the
They're
United
going to the
Nations
UN,
building.
and the mice are jumping out of the UN delegates' suitcases and like going into the Rescue Aid Society, and they're all from all of the little countries, and they're all represented, and they sing their little song, which of course I know by heart, and like I was watching it with Daphne, and I'm like singing it to her, and she's like bouncing around all cute. Oh my god. They sing their little song, and they're like, we've never not come to the aid of someone who needs help. And I'm just like, I can't handle this. And Bernard is so sweet, and Bianca's so pretty, and it's just... They're so hilarious for any... And I don't know if your audience will know this or not, but Bernard is voiced by Bob Newhart. And the character acts exactly the way that Bob Newhart always acts in everything he's in. And Bianca is Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Right.
Who, if you've ever seen Green Acres, she's the wife on Green Acres. It's just like the pairing of those two voice actors, and the fact that I feel like they clearly wrote the characters knowing that that's who was going to play the characters.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
But I will say, not to rehash this, but unlike the Iron Giant, where they just made the character Harry Connick Jr., I feel like they did a good job of like creating a character knowing who was going to play that character, you know, and that they're not just mirror images, but like they do such a great job of knowing like the strengths of the voice actor. Oh.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I would agree. And like, you know, continuing on with Bianca and Bernard as our main duo here, like I absolutely find like Bernard adorable. Like I love their dynamic of Bernard is superstitious. Bernard isn't really an agent. He's a janitor.
He's literally just some dude.
And Bianca is this like go-getter, like one of the first female like members of this society.
The first female to ever go on a mission.
Oh, that's right.
The first female to ever go on a mission, when the guy is like, well, it used to be a man's world and it's just changed now and you can go. And she's like, yes, I can. And I'm pretty. And it's like...
Yes, and she's adventurous. And you know, where Bernard is much more hesitant in certain situations, like Bianca is just like, go, do it. Let's go. And I really, really love that. I think throughout their adventure, like obviously Bernard, it was, you know, it was made in the 70s. Bernard is still a gentleman, but it doesn't take away from Bianca's agency and her ability to totally like take control of a situation and do her job, you know.
It's always good when like you have the contrast in how they are trying to get the work done and trying to like further along on the mission, because she's much more competent than him, but not in the way I kind of expected, of like the no nonsense, like I know what I'm doing and da 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 da. She's like delightful. She's so thrilled about everything they find, and she's always just like, darling, and he's just like, oh, I don't know, maybe we better stay back.
I love how they balance each other out. I love that not one personality is like the better personality, that they need the like absolute everything will be fine and everything is wrong, and like how they balance each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm gonna get on my soapbox. I love the way Bianca is written. I feel like she's written as like, you can tell this was like written in the late 70s. I see like a lot of myself in Bianca, and I can tell that I loved that character as a child, because she is both a like unapologetically strong feminist character, but she's like pretty and wears perfume and lets the guys open the door. Like, she's such a balance of like, she's just a great balance of like femininity in a character of like, she's gonna go on this mission, she's perfectly capable of going on the mission, but that doesn't mean that she's like butch or changing the oil, or like, not that there's anything wrong with characters like that. I just love the way that she was represented like as a strong female character on screen, which is kind of weird to say about a mouse, but like in retrospect, I feel like when you watch her character, it's like she's a really, really strong female character.
Yeah.
Like,
she
really
is
strong. Yeah.
Yes. And again, she can be kick butt and still feminine.
Yes.
And it's super fun to watch. And she's just charming.
I hadn't super thought of this until you said that, but like, they didn't write in some of the cliches that I feel like we have seen a lot more recently of like, we're gonna awkwardly try to write a strong female character, but like end up in the pitfalls of like, oh, if we're doing that, they have to be super insulting to a lot of the other people, and they have to be like sarcastic all the time, and da-da-da-da-da. And like, this just doesn't do that at all. She's actually like really happy most of the time.
Yes.
She's super happy, but not stereotypical like girls are always happy. She's capable of what she's like. She doesn't need to be rescued, but she doesn't have to sacrifice her femininity for being a woman that doesn't need to be rescued, right? Like,
okay. Yeah.
It's just the fact, like, that's not the focus of the film, but I feel like when you think about it, like, wow, she's just a really great female character. And I also love that, like, the same could be said for Bernard. He's a gentleman. Like, he's got kind of that old school, like, open the door but he doesn't belittle her. Like, his relationship with her is really, they're just very, very modern characters and really well-written characters that have almost no cliche to them. To the point that then you don't think about it. They're just mice on an adventure. And you're not like, you know, I mean, we just talked about that with the previous one. I get bogged down when, like, there's a cliche or there's something that, like, oh, God, that ruined it for me, right? And that they're such well-written characters with very little cliche to them that, like, you just enjoy them on their adventure.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're just, you enjoy going along on this ride with them, for sure.
And Bernard is not, like, the classic setup of a cool action hero guy. He's kind of a dweeb, actually, and it's great. Yes. He's like, he's doing his best.
But the thing they have in common, and the thing that keeps them going, is they both really care about this purpose of the Rescue Aid Society. Like, even Bernard as a janitor was sitting there, like, singing the whole song, and, like, you know, you can tell that they, you know, really care. They want to save Penny, so it's just very sweet. So, going on to my second favorite female character. Can we talk about Medusa, please?
Yes! All right, yes,
my God! She's so good!
Did we accidentally stumble, for me, because I haven't seen this, stumble upon maybe the best Disney villain I've ever seen?
Right? She is actually the reason. Medusa is the reason my brother and I love this film. Medusa and Snoops are like the best part of this movie, low-key. She is like Cruella de Vil on steroids.
Yeah.
Yes, and honestly, Cruella de Vil with more complexity.
Yeah, Cruella de Vil wishes that she was Medusa. Like, Cruella walked so Medusa could fly. Like, she is just flying. And no one, like, again, Rescuers is such a sleeper hit. I feel like she is never up there with, like, oh, the best Disney villains. I'm like, she is the best Disney villain of all time.
Yes. And, like, they even thought of just reusing Cruella de Vil as the villain for this film.
What? Really?
And so, like, Medusa is very heavily Cruella de Vil inspired. And I could have said that before I read that, because, like, she is, like, a Cruella de Vil villain. And Milt Kahl, an animator for Medusa, took the appearance inspiration from his ex-wife, and I thought that was funny.
What? Oh my lord!
Oh my
God! Incredible.
You know what the best part of that is?
Incredible.
Is that makes sense. So she was inspired by Cruella, but she's just that much worse. And like you watch, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Like you look at her animation, especially in the first scene she's in when she's in her office on the phone with Snoops. And like her boobs are down to her knees, right? Like she's got that like dress and she's got all the back fat rolls and like her ass is huge and she's got the pointy nose and just everything about her is just like awful, right? Like Cruella was stylish in her like evil way, and Medusa's just awful, right? And like her giant bras that she's stuffing in her bag, and just and then the combination of her animation with the voice performance.
Oh, the voice kills me.
My brother still calls me. Like, he will call me and I will answer the phone and he will just go, I'm catching the next flight down to Devil's Bayou. And just like will do it like word for word in her voice. She's so good.
She is. She's so fantastic. And my note on Snoops is that he was inspired, the appearance of Snoops was inspired by a journalist, John Culhane, who would often be at Disney, you know, reporting on things. And he was kind of tricked into posing for various reactions and references.
No.
And then when he found out he was a character, he was actually super excited about it.
Oh, good. Okay, I was going to say, I hope he wasn't offended.
No, he was thrilled.
Okay, that he ended up being this, like, ridiculous, small henchman person.
But I just like the idea of these animators, like, sneakily, like, taking reference photos of him or something, and then, like, surprise, you're in our movie.
Incredible.
Right?
Incredible.
You know what is, like, I can say about both of them, because they're both so funny, but they are so scary.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that is such a, like, I will say that was when I say that, like, she's an improvement on Cruella de Vil. Mm-hmm. Cruella was just kind of scary. Cruella wasn't funny, right? She was just scary. And to be able to hit that perfect balance of Medusa is hilarious and she is terrifying.
Yeah, that is not easy.
Oh, she's so mean and she's so scary. But like you're peeing your pants laughing at her, but you're just terrified of her at the same time.
Yes.
Like it's just she's just a perfect villain.
So good. And for me, the reason why she's a step above Cruella is she has the manipulation. Like she can pretend to be sweet and nice to Penny, even though she has no intention of, you know, and she can turn around and point a gun at her, you know, like, and where Cruella, like, definitely had a little bit of that, but, like, ultimately was always kind of a, you know, and had an outburst and, like, wasn't so subtle with her intentions all the time. And Medusa, obviously, like, from our perspective, we know that she's just after the diamond, but, like, she can, you know, talk to Penny all nice and, like, try to get her on her side and stuff.
This is slightly off that topic, but, like, I just love the design they put on her face because the colors are so buck wild. Like, I noticed this when I was watching it. Like, the crazy bright orange hair, the very bright red lipstick, the bright green eyes, the weird, like, jade teal earrings, and the, like, dark blue purple makeup. So, like, there's so many colors going on every time the camera is on her, and I just felt like that really added so much to the effect.
Yes, absolutely.
She's so gaudy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
She's just this, like, gaudy character who thinks she's pretty, and, like, the makeup, when she takes her makeup off on the boat.
Love that.
That
was
scene
wild,
where she wipes that eye makeup off and peels those eyelashes off.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god, it's just she's so gross. She's so gross. And so just oh my god, everything about her, like from the moment you meet her, she's just so like there's not a weak point. Every time she is on screen, like everything she's doing is so well thought out and so purposeful and so just evil and at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really over the top.
Yes.
Like
how many I think
oh my god, how many villains have a plan that involves not just kidnapping a child from an orphanage. Like, that's already pretty bad. But also, like, lowering them into a deadly tidal cave system to get a secret diamond. And also she has, like, man-eating crocodiles.
But she's funny. That's exactly it. Is you're like, Jamie, you just hit the nail on the head of, like, every other villain is like, she also has absolutely no motivation for being awful. She's just inexplicably horrible. And unlike most villains that are like, oh, you know, like, even in some of the older films that, like, who are some classics? Like, you could argue that Stepmother is, like, mad that, you know, Cinderella's dad never loved her as much as he clearly loved Cinderella's mom. Like, there's always, you can find motivation for a lot of Disney villains.
Yeah, like Maleficent wasn't invited to the party,
Exactly. She's just awful for no reason. And like you said, not just awful, not just you can't go to the ball. She's awful in that, okay, I heard a rumor that there's a diamond in a deadly pirate cave. Step 1, abduct a child. Like, what? And if she doesn't fall in line, I'll feed her to my evil crocodiles. Like,
right. Because I
we don't know. Who cares?
I just have a secret base set up in the swamps of Louisiana, and I'm just gonna fly there with my assistant, who's got this, like, we've got this boat. And we've got this other smaller boat that we use to go out from the big boat. And we've got our alligator team. And we've got this complex system of pulleys that we're going to use to lower the child.
And we're going to communicate via explosives because that's smart.
Yes! Oh, my lord, the fireworks.
The fireworks!
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that writer's room when they were, like, coming up with her and everything? Like, and what if they used fireworks? Like,
oh my god.
Oh,
I love
she's just...
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's so much.
I love all the little moments of their plan that, like, don't totally work out or don't totally make sense. Where, like, she gets to that little skiff that, like, the horrible black smoke is always coming up from this boat, and it's not turning on, and she's like, Snoops, why isn't it working? It used to be working. And he's like, I don't know. And then it just starts working, and she's like, oh, okay.
Right?
Like, why did we have this moment?
the 0 to a million that when she gets angry, and that's part of what makes her scary, but is still funny. Again, she's so quotable. In my house, when something is wrong, people will say, what is wrong with this thing? Like, in that voice that I don't even remember what she's saying that about. Is it the gun or something?
Probably.
Who even knows? But she's like, she just goes from 0 to, like, what's wrong with this thing? Oh my god.
It's so good.
There's a lot of machinery that doesn't work, and she gets really upset about it now that I think about it.
She's an idiot, and Snoops is an idiot.
Oh my goodness. And that's what makes them terrifying and wonderful.
Yes.
Really great.
Yes.
Oh my lord.
Ugh.
So there are a ton of other little side characters. I would even argue, like, Penny is kind of just a plot device for this adventure of the mice, unless you would disagree.
I do really want to talk about Penny, though.
Okay, then we'll take a moment to talk about Penny. What would you like to say about Penny?
So the reason I like Penny so much is I think 85% of the time, Penny is, like, just a really innocent, sweet child character. And, like, I felt bad for her because of everything that she was going through. And, like, she has the whole talk with Rufus the cat about how, like, she doesn't think she's ever going to get adopted, and she thinks, like, the adults don't find her cute enough, and they're just going to pass her over, and she's never going to find a home, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's really sad. And when she's in the swamp, and she's trying to escape from Medusa, I was like, oh man, I feel so bad for this kid. She doesn't have a ton of personality, but I really do feel bad. But here's the thing. There's, like, that last 15% of the time where Penny is inexplicably, like, full chaos mode. Because there are a couple moments where out of nowhere she's talking with the mice and she's like, yeah, oh, I'm so glad you're here to rescue me. Can we just steal the boat? What if we just stole the boat? I want to set off the fireworks in Medusa's bedroom. And I'm just like, whoa! Where did this come from? Penny! And then, like, when they're in the cave, and she's looking around, and she's like, oh, it's a pirate's cave. And they're like, oh, how'd you know that? And she's like, because of that guy. And she's totally fine with walking around the skeletons. She has no problem with that. She's just like, yeah, they're pirates. Like, this child has, like, a secret, absolutely... I live for the madness, like, side to her. It just really caught me off guard. It's not the most, like, complicated character arc ever, but I was really delighted.
Oh, yeah. No.
I mean, I would totally agree, Jamie, and I would say that, like, when you think about it, she is well written from a, like, child with trauma standpoint.
Oh,
but, like, you could almost flip that to, like, that plays to, like, she has been through a lot of trauma. Like, she is a little girl, and she is not fazed by the dead pirates.
Yes,
like,
right? It's so
and
wild.
it's like, yeah, she's... That first scene where you meet her where she's like, no one wants me, I'm not pretty enough. Like, she has been through some trauma. And I feel like, again... similar to, I didn't realize we were gonna have so many parallels between our two movies, but like similar to Iron Giant, she's a child character who's really a child. She's just really a little girl in this movie. Like, the adults get to be the adults,
right,
including the adult mice, and she's a little girl with trauma, right? And that's I mean, I feel like, as minor of a character as she is, she's solid, and that is true for every single minor character. The characters on screen, they were so well thought out. They were well animated. It was meaningful. Like, all of the little hillbillies in the swamp all have, like, personalities, and they do funny things, and they're well thought out. All of the delegates at the UN, like, right down to their hairstyles and their, like, little jewelry. Just, like, there is no undeveloped character, no matter how small.
Well, I'm glad you both see Penny that way. I still kind of see her as, like, well, we just need to feel sorry for her, so they made her look as sorry as possible. But I'm glad that we found some depth, as we discussed. So with that, like, what are some of your favorite moments of the film? Because there are so many fun ones. We can't talk about them all. But what stands out to you as, like, some of your favorite moments?
Jamie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I feel like... Can we talk about when the alligators... I'm just going to keep going back and forth. I'm sure I've called them crocodiles before, but I'm just going to keep jumping back and forth. When they're going after the mice and trying to eat them, what absolutely killed me was the long extended sequence
with the organ.
Yes, because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're just like, actually, I'm gonna craft a clever plan involving playing an organ.
The organ.
It's gonna last for like 3 minutes.
It's a long sequence. It's this really long Tom and Jerry sequence in the middle of the film where an alligator plays the organ, and, like, they just keep popping up through the pipes, and it's just like, it goes on forever.
But, like, I thought they were very, very serious, grim, like, creepy characters before that, of like, we're gonna eat ya and nothing will stop us. And, like, I didn't realize that this kind of goofy slapstick thing was something they were ready to employ at a moment's notice. Like, yes, we are totally fine with this.
We've introduced these crocodile alligators as like the most sinister thing, and they're, like, taking Penny back to the boat. But just kidding, they also know how to play slapstick and play the organ.
That killed me. It was so unexpected when one of them's like, okay, you keep hitting the notes and blowing the pipes up the organ. I'm going to jump over the top and try to get him. It was so good.
The organ scene is one of the defining, like, I remember that being one of my favorite scenes from when I was little. It is so funny.
It really does. Like, every scene leads into another. Like, there's always an action sequence. There's always, like, a chase. There's always something, there's always something happening. It really, like, it does, it has the moments where it drops because you gotta play the sad little violin for Penny, and then it'll just pick up again. Like, this movie is wild.
I have to say, I feel like this film really used an old-fashioned detective, like an action.
Okay.
It's a mystery action, like Saturday morning serial, like old school detective action movie. It used a very typical pattern, right? Where when you actually sit down and think about the number of different sequences in this movie, and the fact that none of them seems out of place. Like, I was thinking about that when I was watching it the last time. When we talk about a lot of different Disney movies, the one that comes to mind is Frozen, right? Where you can see that, like, they had all these different ideas and they maybe didn't tie one of them in together really well.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Like, we've talked in our Frozen episode, we talked about that with the Trolls, that, like, the Trolls are a different movie and they just, like, tried to make it work.
Yeah.
But this is like, you go from like UN, orphanage scene, flying scene, boating scene, organ scene, boat chase. Like, the number of chase scenes in this film.
There's a lot.
It's just like they chase here, they chase there, suspense. And like the way like the score matches it so well. It is like a masterclass in like how to tie together all different types of sequences in like a coherent story.
Yeah, because it's all very different, and yet it's all very clearly the same movie, you know? Like, this is all different crazy locations and different crazy things happening, but this is the Bianca Bernard adventure, yeah.
When I was really little, the scenes in the cave scared the
Ooh.
bejesus out of me.
Yes.
They are so
definitely.
suspenseful and so scary.
I do remember that as a kid, the like diamond in the skull freaked me out. As just like all of that in the cave was scary.
How did the diamond get in the skull? That bugged me so much. How did it get in? If it can't come out, how did it get in? That drove me crazy.
They
That's
ate
a great
it and then
question.
died.
No, you're exactly right, though. It's so tense because every time the water comes up, you know that it's going to come up more the next time. And, like, they're barely able to handle it the first few times, so you know it's just going to get worse, right?
Right.
Ugh, yeah.
Like, every time I watch it, it's that really great suspense, right? I have seen it a million times, and I'm an adult. I know the end, and I know this is a Disney movie for children. Like, Penny's not gonna die in the blowhole. Like, we know this. But I'm still like, oh my God, hurry, get out of the way. Like, and that is just classic. Like, that is good film suspense. The way that they use the score plays a huge part, and I think the success of this movie, it's scored so well. But that moment of like, no matter how many times you've seen it, you get that little pit in your stomach of like, oh my God, no, like that really great suspense, right?
Absolutely. You're in it. You're emotionally tied to this film, whether it's Penny's sad story or like, you know, the intense, you know, suspense in the cave. It's like you're emotionally connected.
Both like Penny and I think Bernard are both so justifiably scared because of like what situation they're in. And like Bianca is kind of scared, but she's also Bianca, so like it doesn't faze her as much. But like they're both genuinely freaked out in this scenario, and I feel like that really helps you kind of put yourself in the same boat because of how dangerous it is. They're just like, "Oh, shoot, this is real." There's a real tangible sense of like they're gonna get hurt or die. Like,
part of like thinking about this film, thinking about the story, like it just made me realize just now that it does what I appreciate a lot in film is that the script itself, like the dialogue, is probably pretty short, and they do a lot without too much dialogue, and I think that's partially the style of animation of the time. Like, it's a lot of visuals, and they still have to like have a lot of dialogue to explain what's going on and things, but it's not just talking your ear off, which I appreciate. And because the background paintings and everything is so fun and they're in so many different environments, like I just really appreciate that. And then, like you said, with the music, with the score, like, they don't need to be talking your ear off all the time, unless it's Medusa, because she talks everyone's ears off.
There were like 3 or 4 different montages that are like, the music playing was so much more like somber and kind of thoughtful than I expected it to be. There were a lot of sad montages in this movie. Like, even just when they're flying, like, they could have easily made that like a super upbeat, peppy song, and they were like, nah, we're gonna make you like contemplate your life, actually, while we're watching these people fly on the back of a big albatross in a sardine can. That it's fine. Somehow it works. Yeah.
It does. It works.
Orville, when he is going off the runway the first time, and they finally get that first big part of the flying sequence, the music is the official theme of the U.S. Air Force, and that just really got me. I was like, wait a minute, I've heard this friggin' song. Hang on a second.
And then it happens again when he takes off from the bayou.
And it's
That
like the
got me.
da, da, da,
It's
da,
so
da,
good.
da.
Yeah, he's so proud of his work. Yeah, he's just like,
Yeah.
nothing is gonna stop me from making this happen.
The crew of the film, and this was, who was this directed by? I don't know if I wrote that down. Many people. Well, the crew of this film, at one point I read that they chose to use an albatross because they naturally do have very funny looking takeoffs and landings, like in real life.
Yeah.
And I just love that idea so much, that it's just like, well, we thought this bird was funny, so that's what we're going to do.
Perfect planning, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. I think I should have said this while we were talking about Medusa, but like, the entire thing with the diamond is so endlessly funny to me. And I think it's because I don't mean narratively and in the writing it's pointless, because I don't think that. But from Medusa's perspective, it is pointless because they have so much treasure. And there's a scene where they're like, literally any of these would set you up for life, right? And she's like, no, I don't care. I need the diamond. And then what's even better is when she finally gets the diamond. I will never understand this. She puts it in the teddy bear. And she says to Penny, no, I'm taking it with me, actually. And then she tries to get the bear back. So she loses the diamond. And I'm like, why? Why did you do that? I was crying. I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. It was like the most nonsensical thing she did, and I loved it. Oh my goodness. The entire diamond part of the plan just took this really over the top for me in the best way. I was just like, I don't understand what your plan is here.
Again, they're kind of stupid. That's what makes them wonderful.
I also feel like it's
man.
just, again, the like nail in the coffin of she's just evil. Like, what am I finally got what I wanted, and now I'm gonna take your teddy bear. Like, why? Like you said, like, why? Why? She did everything you wanted. The only thing she has in life is this damn bear.
That's all she has.
All she has.
Man.
And like, I am that evil. I finally got what I wanted, and I'm still just gonna take the last thing you have away from you because I can.
Yes. And gonna, backstab probably the only person that is on your side, Mr. Snoops.
And just the diamond. Again, she's so quotable.
Yeah.
And it's my brother and I, because we just love this movie. Whenever, like, inevitably you'll be like, Dan, what do you need? Or like, Dan, he goes, I need the devil's eye. Like the way that she draws out that eye. I need the devil's eye.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
This might not be an interesting reference to anyone except me, but I so badly wish she was in like a Kingdom Hearts game. I want to fight her. Like, I want to play the rescuers.
Yes.
Yeah.
She just throws like used eyelashes at you.
Of course. And you have to like avoid the crocodiles. Yeah.
That'd be great. I'd absolutely play that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, going into some production stuff, again, this is 1977 Disney animation, based on a series of books by Marjorie Sharp. It actually entered development in 1962, but was shelved at the time because the plot was so much different. It involved the mice. Actually, this story has gone through many different iterations, but the initial one was the mice going to rescue a poet who was unfairly imprisoned in Cuba.
Whoa.
And then,
okay.
And Walt Disney was like, "This is too political."
Holy cow!
Let's shelve that. Some other previous iterations include they rescue a king in the Middle Ages.
Whoa!
And
okay.
also saving a bear from an evil penguin.
From an evil penguin.
I feel like we landed on the correct plot.
Dang,
Yes,
okay.
I think we did.
You know, and when you think about some of the films that were made before and after, and knowing that entered development in the 60s, I feel like the people who were championing those storylines got to put their characters in other places.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Middle Ages, we got Sword in the Stone.
Right.
Eventually, right?
Yeah.
A bear is the main character in the Jungle Book.
This is true.
What was the other one?
Is there an evil I'm trying to think if there was any evil penguins.
The poet in Cuba, the king in the Middle Ages, and the bear in the evil.
I got nothing for the poet in Cuba.
Oh, I want to see the poet in Cuba. I want to see that at a movie. I'm so intrigued.
Well, like, not for kids.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't think kids will understand the imprisonment of
No,
artists
it's not
in
going to be a very
communist
safe
countries.
movie, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, probably a good idea to shelve that idea.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, this is also another film that like has. I feel like every Disney film, it's like there's so much Disney history. There's so much to say, but like the Disney trainees, which I think I've mentioned on other episodes, kind of, you know, after, you know, their initial golden age, like they have all these, like the classic, you know, 5 old men and all of that. I mean, 9 old men and all of that. And then they realize, oh, actually, we need to train the next generation. And so we've got the Disney trainees, and this was the first film many of them worked on, including Glenn Keane, Ron Clements, and Andy Gaskell. Of course, those are the names that Wikipedia gives us because they are the most known. But I have, of course, Ink and Paint, the book about the women in Disney animation, and this film did include a nice, good handful of women in the artistic and animation departments other than Ink and Paint. So there's a credit to that as well. There were females in the trainee program. And as we talked about in the 101 Dalmatians episode, this was the time period where Disney was using xerography, which is basically fancy copy machine, to make animation easier, basically taking the exact lines from the animators directly onto the screen, which a lot of animators appreciated, but it created a very, very stark, harsh line. Well, this is the film that made critics think that Disney had created a whole new system, because now their xerography machine could make colored lines, including like a light gray. So most of this film is the light gray outlines, which makes it look softer. And so they kind of improved that technology, using that kind of like gray toner. It's amazing what one little change can do.
Yeah.
A couple of other fun little production tidbits. The film includes 105,000 painted cells and 750 painted backgrounds.
Okay, that actually is incredible, yeah.
Blows my mind. I love it. I love animation. Animation is wild. Animation takes literal years. It takes forever.
Yeah.
And a lot of painstaking effort. And I love animation. Also, This
what?
film,
Crazy. I can't believe it.
I've been talking about animation for 4 years on a podcast. I guess I like it. Wild. Unlike The Iron Giant, which we just talked about, The Rescuers did very well in the box office. And it, gave a lot of audience members hope for the future of Disney. And I really want to say this. I was shocked when I read it. Another very, very well-known film came out in 1977. Do you know what that film was?
An animated film?
Not an animated film.
Are you talking about Star Wars?
I am. I'm talking about Star Wars.
Okay.
And guess what? During the initial release in France, The Rescuers outsold Star Wars.
Okay. That's awesome. I did not know this.
So I love that random piece of trivia. I'm just going to hold on to that, pocket it for later.
I feel like that speaks to how, this is a good movie, people. If you are listening to this episode and you have not seen this, this is a really, really good movie.
It is. It's a good movie. I don't know if you are listening to this and haven't seen it, what you're waiting for, because just, take just a little bit of your time, enjoy a nice film.
It's in the era of movies being a lot shorter too. It's only an hour and a half total.
Yeah, it's short. It's well done. Just a side animation comment, just based off my viewing. I love these older animated films because they're so expressive with every little movement.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
from anywhere from the mouse's tail moving or the way somone walks, everything is just so detailed and I just love it. It's just yummy to me. It's just this animation is yummy.
This might be reductive, but I just in any performance art, because animation is performance art. It's the performance of the animators, right?
Yeah.
You can tell when the performers are into it and when they're having a good time. And I just feel like the detail, how beautifully animated this is, like you said, just the way that the characters are drawn with so much care, the backgrounds are drawn with so much care. I just feel like you can tell that the people who worked on this movie loved this movie.
Absolutely. It really feels that way, at least.
Yeah. Which is unique. I don't think a lot of people think about that when you watch an animated movie, but it's this is really good, and they feel like they had a lot of fun making it.
Yes, absolutely. And when you have fun making something, your audience has fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ramble about the setup for a little bit because I was so thrilled with this absolutely wild idea of there's a secret mouse UN and they just have missions to save people. Love it. Couldn't be better. So here's what was really tripping me up is I started wondering okay, so people can see them, right? People do see them, and I wasn't sure because we get into the first third of the movie and there's a scene where Penny talks to Rufus like it's no big deal. She talks to the cat and the cat talks back. I was like, okay, so maybe kids can talk to them and understand them. Okay, I think I'm following so far. None of the humans actually see the rescuers or any of the other mice until an entire hour in, where Medusa's oh my gosh, mice, kill them. And I was like, okay, so hang on a second. Wait a minute. So she can see them, but she can't talk to them. And the other animals can see them, and they can talk to them, but Penny can talk to the animals. And I got so lost in trying to figure out how this worked. And I didn't arrive at anything. I just got more confused. Which, honestly, I think...
At the end, Penny talks to the reporter and is like...
Yes!
And the reporter's like, wait, there
yes!
are mice?
Wait, that's
and
right!
And she's like, yes, don't you know that? Obviously.
Yes!
So that's kind of a little
know.
nod to this is kind of a thing kids the kids have the pure soul or whatever, and they can talk to the mice or whatever.
So the mice world is still secret. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It was
and it's secret because I feel like the mice, people don't take kids seriously. And like the animals understand that the kids should be taken seriously, and they rescue the kids, right?
Right.
They rescue. I feel like that's recycled. Maybe it's just canon to me that like children can speak to animals, like childcare.
Right.
Oh, we can. You know, okay, here I go. In Arthur.
Arthur.
Kate the baby can talk to the dog, Pal. Like she can talk to animals.
Oh my
So I feel
Lord,
like that's like a thing in children's like literature, children's like entertainment.
Because Charlotte's Web too.
Yeah, like kids can talk to animals. That's just, and then they grow up and like, well, that's silly. You can't talk to animals. And they're like, I had, imaginary friends that were animals. Like, I feel like that's just canon.
Okay, yeah. That does make a little more sense. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just insane, Jamie.
No.
Of course Penny can talk to the animals, Jamie.
Because I think me not understanding that actually made it more fun. Because I got to the end of the movie and I was like, so that I still don't get that. But somehow that fits.
Yes. It still works.
Yeah, somehow that tracks with everything else that was going on. Yeah.
This is one of those movies, just don't think about it too hard. Just don't.
Suspend that disbelief, Jamie.
Right. Yeah.
Just enjoy it.
No, of course, you gotta.
Oh, man. Well, thank you both for joining me for these 2 weeks of Fanimated Gift Exchange. And like this is it. This is the end of the Fanimated Gift Exchange. This is the end of the year, and so we will end here quickly so you can get on with your day, I suppose. Thank you to everyone for listening. You can hear bonus episodes and vote for upcoming topics at patreon.com/Fanimated. Thank you to everyone who is already a member of the Fanimated crew. You make this podcast possible. You've made this whole year of podcasting possible for Fanimated. So hope you got a whole bunch of awesome things for the holidays and that you enjoy your new year. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Fanimated Podcast, and you can leave us a rating and review, please, please, please. I love to see them. And tell us what you'd like us to be watching next. The music is written by Jamie Krause. The art is done by myself, and you can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And we'll be back next year.
Wow.
To talk about more animation.
Kelly,
more animation.
The Fanimated Gift Exchange was such a good idea, and it went really well, and it was super fun to listen to and now be a part of.
Thank you. I had a great time as well. I enjoyed all of these. It's just fun to see like what other people would think of for topics, and it's like brought up all of these awesome conversations. It's always the ones that I didn't expect to enjoy so much that I was surprised by, like the Rescuers, like Fox and the Hound, so who knows, maybe I'll do it again next year.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't stop thinking about like next year I want to choose something that just sucks and make somebody suffer through it.
Honestly, I thought more people were gonna do that.
Yeah, I really want to
actually
now.
Did. I mean, I'm glad we got to talk about all these great films, but yeah, we'll see. Well, wait until next year, folks.
Yes.
You've got to do it again. Otherwise, I'm just gonna contact Jamie and tell him to watch stuff, and we'll talk about it without you. We had fun.
Oh my goodness.
Fun talking to Jamie about it. So.
The worst possible. Good. Yeah. We'll exclude you.
I've got a whole slew of animated movies about rodents for children that I want to talk about with you, Jamie. A whole slew of them.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so everyone get ready for that. Oh man, enjoy your new year, everyone, and in the meantime,
stay tuned
and stay animated.
Welcome, my name is Kelly. Just kidding, let me start again.
It's perfect. It's so perfect.
It's because I took a drink and then you decided to take a drink.
I was like, that sounds like a good idea, and then you started.
All right.
You can't script this, folks. Yeah.